New tonight, the city of Philadelphia takes action, clearing 2 homeless encampments and hoping to get those on the streets the help they need in the process. Eyewitness News reporter Alexandria Hoff is live in Center City with more on that story. Alex?
Imagine for a moment that you are standing in the center of the world. You are on Market Street in San Francisco. It is a Tuesday afternoon in 2025. The sun is shining off the glass towers of the financial district, monuments to the greatest accumulation of wealth in human history. To your left, a tech executive steps out of a black car, speaking into a headset about a deal worth millions. To your right, tourists are laughing, holding shopping bags from luxury boutiques where a single handbag costs more than a minimum wage. Worker earns in an entire year. But then, you turn a corner. Perhaps you walk just 2 blocks toward the Tenderloin district, and suddenly, the world changes. The sunlight seems to struggle to reach the pavement. The smell of the ocean and expensive perfume is replaced by something heavier. It is the acrid, metallic tang of burnt chemicals. It is the scent of unwashed bodies and decaying food. The sound of laughter dies out, replaced by a silence that is punctuated only by a wet, hacking cough. You look down, and there, curled against the cold brick of a billion-dollar building, is a person. Maybe it is a woman.
You know, this is a terribly difficult situation because on one side, as of tomorrow, there are those who say they have nowhere else to go. And then on the other side, residents who say that their neighborhoods have become a breeding ground for drug addiction.
Her age impossible to tell because the streets have aged her decades in just a few years. Her skin is pale, her hands are swollen. She is clutching a dirty blanket as if it is the only thing tethering her to the earth. She is not asleep. She is not awake. She is suspended in a chemical twilight. This is not a scene from a dystopian movie about the end of the world. This is America today. This is the reality that millions walk past, drive around, and try desperately to ignore. But the crisis on our streets is no longer something we can ignore. It is not just about a lack of housing. It is about a poisoning of the drug supply so severe it is being called a weapon of mass destruction. It is about an economic system that has pulled the ladder up behind it. And it is about a society that has decided that some lives simply matter less than others. Welcome to Homeless US News. We are dedicated to shining a light on the invisible crisis gripping our nation. Today, we are going deep. Over the next hour, we are going to dissect this disaster layer by layer. We will take you into the neurology of the addicted brain, the economics of the housing market, the politics of the police sweeps, and the geography of despair from Philadelphia to San Francisco. We will ask the hard questions. Why, in the richest country on earth, are our sidewalks turning into graveyards? And more importantly, is there any way back?
Again, this is just a pilot program and it will be assessed by an outside entity. Reporting live in Center City, Alexandria Hoff, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
This is the story of the invisible killer. To understand why this crisis feels different, why the number of people on the street seems to be exploding, and why they seem so much sicker than before, we have to start with the science. We have to look at the molecule that has hijacked the American street. For decades, the primary threat was heroin. Heroin was dangerous, yes. It destroyed lives. But the crisis of 2025 is driven by fentanyl, and now, increasingly, by something even worse. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. It was synthesized in a lab, designed to be a powerful painkiller for surgery and end-of-life care. Chemically, it is perfect at what it does. It binds to the mu-opioid receptors in the human brain with a force 50 times greater than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. When a person consumes fentanyl, the drug crosses the blood-brain barrier almost instantly. It is highly lipophilic, meaning it dissolves in fat, allowing it to rush into the brain with terrifying speed. Once there, it doesn't just block pain. It triggers a massive release of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center. This isn't just pleasure. It is a biological signal that screams survival. It tells the brain that this chemical is more important than food, more important than water, more important than shelter, and more important than love. The brain, overwhelmed by this signal, rewires itself. It stops producing its own dopamine, It creates a deficit so deep that without the drug, the person cannot feel normal, let alone happy. They are plunged into a state of dysphoria and physical agony that is impossible to describe to someone who hasn't felt it. This is why the question, why don't they just stop, is scientifically flawed. For someone in the grip of fentanyl addiction, stopping feels like choosing to stop breathing. It is a biological impossibility without medical help. But in 2025, the drug supply has mutated again. Fentanyl is no longer the only threat. It is now being cut with a veterinary sedative called xylazine, known on the street as Tranq. Xylazine is not an opioid. It is a central nervous system depressant used to sedate 1,000-pound horses for surgery. It is not approved for humans. When dealers mix xylazine with fentanyl, they do it to extend the high. Fentanyl is short-acting. Users have to inject every few hours to avoid withdrawal. Xylazine adds a heavy, sedative effect that mimics the longer-lasting high of heroin. But the cost is horrific. Xylazine causes severe vasoconstriction. It clamps down on the blood vessels, starving the skin and soft tissue of oxygen. This leads to the development of severe, necrotic wounds. These are not just injection site infections. These wounds can appear anywhere on the body, on the shins, the forearms, the hands. The tissue dies, turning black and leathery. If left untreated and on the streets, they are almost always untreated. These wounds become infected. They eat down to the bone. We are seeing a generation of people suffering from amputations that could have been prevented. Furthermore, xylazine creates a terrifying complication for rescue workers. You probably know about naloxone or Narcan. It is the miracle spray that reverses opioid overdoses. But naloxone only works on opioids. It has absolutely no effect on xylazine. If someone overdoses on a mixture of fentanyl and Tranq, you might use Narcan to restore their breathing, but they will remain unconscious, trapped in a deep, sedative coma caused by the xylazine. They are defenseless. They are vulnerable to assault, to the elements, and to robbery while they lie there, breathing but unable to wake up. This is the chemical reality of the street today. It is a trap that has no key. As we look at the landscape of 2025, we are confronted with a paradox. If you look at some government charts, you might think the situation is improving. If you walk down the street, you know it is getting worse. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released provisional data showing a decline in drug overdose deaths in late 2024 and early 2025. On paper, deaths dropped by nearly 20%. This should be cause for celebration. It suggests that tens of thousands of people are still alive who might otherwise have died. However, experts who work on the front lines, the paramedics, the outreach workers, the street doctors tell a different story. They warn that the data is lagging. Toxicology reports for complex mixtures like fentanyl and xylazine take months to process. Many deaths are categorized as pending for a long time. More importantly, the decline in deaths does not mean a decline in suffering. We have flooded the streets with naloxone. This is a good thing. It keeps people alive. But it means that instead of dying, people are surviving multiple overdoses a week. They are surviving with brain injuries from lack of oxygen. They are surviving with severe wounds. The death rate might be dipping, but the overdose rate, the number of times people stop breathing, remains astronomically high. And then there is the homelessness count. The Department of Housing and Urban Development reported that over 770,000 people were experiencing homelessness on a single night in early 2024. That is an 18% jump from the previous year. It is the highest number ever recorded since we started counting. Think about that number, 770,000 people. That is more than the entire population of Boston. That is more than the population of Washington, D.C. Imagine an entire major American city where every single resident is living in a shelter, a tent, or a car. The rise is being driven by a perfect storm. The expiration of pandemic-era safety nets, like rent relief and eviction moratoriums, pushed thousands of families over the edge. Rents have skyrocketed. In cities like New York and Miami, the cost of a one-bedroom apartment is now mathematically impossible. for a minimum wage worker to afford. We are seeing a surge in first-time homelessness. These are seniors on fixed incomes whose rent went up by $300. These are families who had one medical emergency and lost everything. We are also seeing a rise in chronic homelessness, people who have been on the streets for more than a year and have a disabling condition. This population increased by 27%. These are the people you see on the corners. They are the ones most vulnerable to the fentanyl and xylazine supply. They are the ones the system has failed the most profoundly. So when politicians tell you that numbers are going down, ask them which numbers. Because the number of human beings sleeping on concrete is higher than it has ever been. In the history of modern America, nowhere is this crisis more visible or more politicized than in San Francisco. This city is a place of extremes. It is the headquarters of the artificial intelligence revolution. It is where billionaires are minted overnight. Yet, it is also the home of the Tenderloin and South of Market, neighborhoods that have become synonymous with open-air drug markets and human misery. By 2025, San Francisco has become the case study for the urban doom loop. This is an economic term for a downward spiral. It starts when workers don't return to the office, leaving downtown buildings empty. Without office workers, the small businesses, the delis, the dry cleaners, the flower shops lose their customers and close. As businesses close and foot traffic dies, the streets become empty. Empty streets feel unsafe. When streets feel unsafe, even fewer people come. The tax base crumbles, city services get cut, and the cycle speeds up. In downtown San Francisco, this loop has decimated the retail landscape. The Westfield San Francisco Center, once a glittering palace of commerce, saw its anchor store Nordstrom leave, followed by a cascade of closures. The streets around Union Square, famous for luxury shopping, are dotted with for lease signs. But the city's response has shifted. For years, San Francisco was known for its compassionate, harm reduction approach. But as the visible crisis worsened, public sentiment turned. Residents and business owners demanded action. In 2024 and 25, the city pivoted toward containment and enforcement. We have seen massive, multi-agency operations involving the local police, the sheriff's department, and even the California Highway Patrol. They sweep into the Tenderloin, arresting dealers and users alike. They seize pounds of fentanyl. They clear the tents. But here is the tragedy of the sweep. It doesn't solve the problem, it moves it. When police clear a block in the Tenderloin, the people who live there don't vanish. They move to blocks over. They move into the alleyways. They move into the doorways of the library. They lose their belongings, their IDs, their medication, their warm clothes in the chaos of the sweep. This destabilizes them further. Street medics report that after a sweep, overdoses often spike. Why? Because people are forced to use in hidden places, alone, where no one can see them if they stop breathing. They use quickly, in a panic, to avoid arrest. The crackdown, designed to clean up the streets, inadvertently makes the streets deadlier for the people living on them. We interviewed a woman named Sarah in the Tenderloin. She is 29 years old. She was a preschool teacher before the pandemic. She lost her job, then her apartment. She started using pills to sleep in her car. She didn't know they were fentanyl. Now, she is trapped. They tell us to move, she told us. They say, you can't be here. So I pick up my bag and I walk to the next corner. And then they come and tell me I can't be there either. I just want to know, where's the place where I am allowed to exist? Because it feels like the only place they want me is dead. If San Francisco is the battleground for economic policy, Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia is the epicenter of the biological crisis. This neighborhood has been known for years as the largest open-air drug market on the East Coast. But in 2025, the reality of Kensington is something that defies description. Walking down Kensington Avenue is an assault on the senses. The elevated train tracks cast a permanent shadow over the street. The air is thick with smoke, but it is the human toll that breaks your heart. Because of the prevalence of xylazine, you see injuries here that look like they belong in a war zone. You see people with bandages wrapped around their legs, soaked in fluid. You see people in wheelchairs because they have lost toes or feet to the infection. In May of 2024, the city of Philadelphia launched a major encampment resolution. The goal was to clear the main drag of Kensington Avenue. Police and sanitation crews moved in. They dismantled the tents. They erected metal barriers along the sidewalks to prevent people from sitting or sleeping there. The city declared it a victory. They reported that the sidewalks were clear, but investigative reports and local residents tell a different story. The market didn't disappear, it dispersed. The hundreds of people who lived on Kensington Avenue scattered into the side streets, into the local parks like McPherson Square, and into the surrounding residential neighborhoods. This dispersal made the work of harm reduction organizations infinitely harder. Groups like Prevention Point and Savage Sisters have spent years building trust with this population. They know people by name. They know who needs wound care. They know who is pregnant. When the population was concentrated, medics could walk the avenue and reverse overdoses as they happened. Now, the people are hidden. They are using in abandoned houses. They are using behind dumpsters in alleyways. The risk environment, a term public health experts use to describe how dangerous a place is, has skyrocketed. If you overdose alone in an abandoned house, you die alone. Furthermore, the political climate in Philadelphia has turned hostile toward harm reduction. Savage Sisters, a group run by women in recovery who provided wound care and showers, faced the loss of their storefront due to political pressure. The city is pivoting toward a treatment or jail model, but the reality is there are not enough treatment beds. There are not enough long-term recovery programs. And for someone addicted to xylazine, standard detox protocols don't work. The withdrawal from xylazine involves severe anxiety, tremors, and blood pressure spikes that most detox centers are not equipped to handle. So, we are left with a containment strategy. We push the problem around, shuffle human beings from one block to another, and hope that if we can't see them, the problem doesn't exist. But the wounds in Kensington are deep, and they are not healing. Why is this happening? Why, in a country with so much wealth, are we unable to put a roof over people's heads? The answer lies in the systemic collapse of our housing policy. For the last decade, the gold standard of homelessness policy was housing first. The idea is simple and radical. You give a homeless person a permanent home first. You do not demand they get sober first. You do not demand they get a job first. You give them a key. Once they are safe, once they are warm, you layer on the support services, the mental health care, the addiction treatment, the job training. The data proves it works. In Houston, Texas, the city reduced homelessness by over 60% in 10 years by aggressively implementing housing first. They moved 25,000 people directly from the streets into apartments. It was a miracle, but in 2025, even the Houston miracle is faltering. Why? Money. The housing first model relies on subsidies. It relies on vouchers to pay the rent for people who have no income. During the pandemic, the federal government pumped billions of dollars into these programs, but those funds have expired. The American Rescue Plan money is gone. Houston is now facing a fiscal cliff. Without that federal money, they cannot issue new vouchers. The pipeline from the street to housing has slowed to a trickle. The number of people on the streets of Houston has started to tick up for the first time in a decade. This proves a painful truth. Housing first works, but only if you fund it. It is not a self-sustaining machine. It is a public service that requires constant investment. At the same time, the legal landscape has shifted against the homeless. In 2024, the Supreme Court ruled in the case of Grants Pass versus Johnson. This ruling overturned previous protections. It effectively decided that cities can arrest and fine people for sleeping in public, even if there are no shelter beds available. This ruling opened the floodgates. Cities across America, under pressure from frustrated voters, began passing bans on public camping. They began arresting people for the crime of having nowhere to go. But this is a policy of churn. You arrest a homeless man for sleeping in a park. He goes to jail for a few days. It costs the taxpayers thousands of dollars to process him. He gets released. He still has no home. But now, he has a criminal record. Now, he has court fees he can't pay. Now, he is even less employable than he was before. We are spending billions of dollars to cycle people through a revolving door of jails and emergency rooms instead of spending that money to just give them a home. Even international models are showing cracks. Finland has long been the poster child for ending homelessness. They are the only country in Europe where homelessness has consistently gone down. But in 2024 and 25, even Finland saw a rise. A new right-wing government implemented austerity measures, cutting housing benefits and social security to balance the budget. The result was immediate. More people lost their homes. It is a stark reminder that homelessness is a policy choice. When you cut the safety net, people fall through. It is easy to look at this landscape and feel nothing but despair. The numbers are huge. The drugs are deadly. The politics are toxic. But if you look closely, down at the street level, there are flickers of hope. There are people who refuse to give up. Hope looks like the street medicine movement. In cities like Pittsburgh, Los Angeles, and Boston, doctors and nurses are leaving the hospitals. They are putting on backpacks filled with antibiotics, wound care supplies, and blood pressure cuffs. They are going under the bridges. They are crawling into the tents. They are practicing radical humility. They don't wait for the patient to come to the clinic. They bring the clinic to the patient. They treat the xylazine wounds right there on the sidewalk, preventing amputations. They dispense buprenorphine, a medicine to treat opioid addiction, right in the alleyway. They build trust with people who have been traumatized by every other system in their lives. Dr. Jim Withers, the father of street medicine, says that the hospital is not the center of the medical universe. The patient is. By meeting people where they are, treating them like human beings, calling them by their names, these teams are saving lives every single day. Hope looks like urban alchemy. This is an organization born on the streets of San Francisco. It is staffed largely by former long-term offenders, men and women who spent decades in prison and have turned their lives around. They patrol the streets not as police, but as practitioners. They don't carry guns. They carry emotional intelligence. They de-escalate fights. They reverse overdoses. They keep the sidewalks clean. They talk to the people on the street with a level of respect and understanding that a police officer often cannot achieve. They prove that the people society threw away are often the ones most capable of healing it. And hope looks like the resilience of the human spirit. Recovery is possible. We see it in the stories of people like David. David was homeless for 6 years. He was addicted to fentanyl. He had given up, but a Housing First program got him into an apartment. For the first month, he slept on the floor because he wasn't used to a bed. But slowly, with a door he could lock and a case manager who checked on him, he stabilized. He got on methadone. He reconnected with his daughter. Today, he works as a peer counselor, helping others find the same path he did. He told us, "I didn't get clean because I was forced to. I got clean because for the first time in years, I had something to lose. I had a key. That key saved my life. So here we are. We have walked through the valley of the shadow of death. We have seen the science of addiction, the economics of eviction, and the politics of displacement. The story of homelessness in America in 2025 is not a simple story. It is not just about drugs. It is not just about high rents. It is about the collision of a toxic drug supply with a broken housing market, all taking place in a society that has lost its ability to care for its most vulnerable members. We are at a crossroads. We can continue down the path we are on. We can continue to fund prisons instead of housing. We can continue to let people rot on our sidewalks from preventable wounds. We can continue to look away, or we can choose differently. We can choose to treat housing as a human right, not a commodity. We can choose to treat addiction as a healthcare crisis, not a crime. We can choose to support the street medics, the outreach workers, and the Housing First programs that are actually making a difference. This crisis was created by human choices. That means it can be solved by human choices. You have a role to play in this. Don't let this video be just another thing you watch and forget. Share this story. Talk about it. Challenge the stigma when you hear it. When you see someone on the street, don't look through them. Look at them. They are someone's son, someone's daughter, someone's mother. They are human beings who have fallen into a hole that our society dug, and they are waiting for a hand to pull them out. If you believe that no one in the richest country in the world should die alone on the concrete, then make your voice heard. Support local housing initiatives. Support harm reduction. Be the change you want to see in your city. Thank you for watching Homeless US News. Thank you for caring enough to witness the truth. Now, turn off this screen, go out into your community, and be part of the solution.